Hello, I'm Pam Carruthers of Healing Stars. This is the chart. It's the new moon, 18th of June 2023, set for London, and it occurs in the wee hours 5:37 British summer time. So new moons are always a time of going within. They're never a good time to launch anything because the moon represents the people. So this is a Gemini new moon. It happens every year. And here we have the moon 26 degrees with the sun at 43 minutes. So it's interesting because this is connected to something called the galactic center, which happens to be in Sagittarius at those degrees. So there's something very universal about this, the collective. I'm using whole signs to represent the houses. And so here, Neptune, Neptune up the top in Pisces, last degrees of Pisces, at a very powerful right angle, tension, conflict to this new moon. Neptune is a fascinating planet. It really is. It's invisible. We can't see it with the naked eye. And it is the god of the sea, the oceans. And recently on British TV, I watched an amazing programme all about the ocean, and they created spy creatures like a spy dolphin. It was delightful. If you watch it, it's on iPlayer, and David Tennant is talking about it and how animals play. Dolphins play. Wow, if you've ever seen a dolphin, and I have been lucky, I sort of swam with dolphins, hardly swimming, but anyhow, I did. They were in Hawaii in captivity. They were all born as Cancerians, interesting. And of course, they're extraordinary creatures. Now, that's one magical mystery of Pisces, definitely. However, it's also to do with scandal. And here in the UK, and of course in the US, two Gemini men are both being looked at seriously, and this is the trickster energy. Geminis can be very entertaining. It's very much about journalism, the media, reporting, communication, being delightful to be around. Geminis are. However, it is also can be the trickster, and this is really what this Neptune square, in my opinion, is showing us. Mercury itself, in its own sign of Gemini, in a very nice relationship, that blue line is called a sextile, in a very good relationship to Venus, the evening star, Venus in Leo. And that is the other side of Mercury. The reporting, and I watch TV, and there was a hugely interesting program on last night all about the wiretap, the hacking, dare I say, and how, the big corporations pay people off, basically. You can't win, and they've got the money. And so a lot of very disturbing trolling and breaking confidentiality. I mean, forget about it. It's very disturbing. And I used to work for the national press, and I worked alongside extremely good journalists. And the newspaper I was on, I don't think they ever did something like this. They didn't, because they had integrity. So the quality of Mercury is very much about being neutral. It's reporting news, correct, it is, but can we report news which brings beauty, Venus, joy, all of those positive things? We've got a very nice trine, a sextile from Jupiter up here with that North Node to do with destiny, and that is connecting to Saturn. Now, Jupiter and Saturn are opposites completely. Jupiter expands, Saturn contracts. Jupiter is all about being jovial, and Saturn can be Mr. Gravity, Mr. Serious. And this is the old way, Saturn, authorities are Saturn, and Jupiter is optimism, taking advantage, seize the moment, carpe diem, all of those things. So it's welcome to see that Saturn and Jupiter are currently in good relationships with each other. And that S, you can see the S next to Saturn, it's turning retrograde. Now, all the planets apart from the Sun and Moon can go retrograde. And Saturn is doing its thing this year, starting at this new moon, which is an interest, is making it important. We also have got a strong connection of the Chiron energy, the wounded healer archetype in Aries, in a flow of energy to Mars. That's fiery energy, healing any problem, wound is the right word, to be the energy of Mars, the pioneer, going head first, having courage. And Chiron here is saying there's a wound around this. Now, Chiron is a 50-year orbit, and it has different time periods in different signs. So if you're over the age of 50, you would have had your Chiron return. And that's very much the time where we become the healer rather than the wounded one. And Mars is giving its backing. It's, I'm using my fist trying to think about Mars. It's in Leo. That's all about courage. It's all about, expansion of the fiery energy, the creativity, and the king or queen archetypes. The other quality I have to mention, of course, is Pluto. It's just gone back into Capricorn, which will stay till the end of the year. It's currently retrograde. That's the R is retrograde. And it's in this dynamic energy field with the nodes of the moon. Now, the nodes of the moon are to do with eclipses. And on July the 13th, this is good news for an awful lot of us, I know, they will change sign. They go backwards through the zodiac. Currently, North Node in Taurus, South Node in Scorpio. They will then be North Node in Aries, South Node in Libra. And that's very much about relationships. And they will stay in those signs for 18 months approximately. The solstice, of course, is just around the corner. And that's on the 22nd, so just after the solstice, Venus and the moon. If you've been following my videos, I've been looking at Venus every night and going, hey, hello Venus. I really get very excited about seeing Venus. And on the 22nd, the sliver of that new moon will be right next to Venus. Now, this is such a beautiful sight. I highly, highly recommend that you take time out and see if you can see it. It'll be setting in the in the west. I have to think about that one. But it is a glorious thing to focus on, and it will be in Leo. So it is the sign. Venus will be going retrograde in Leo. Venus will change from being an evening star to a morning star. That's a cycle that happens. It's a regular cycle, but every 18 months it happens, and it does shift the dynamic of the feminine energy. Anything else I'd like to share with you? Well, of course, the obvious I haven't shared is Venus is with Mars. Right? They won't actually join, but they are very close together. The reason being, planets operate at different speeds. The sun is always at a regular speed, 1 degree a day. The moon is always going through the whole signs in a month, no problem there. But Venus and Mars has a different speed. It's a 2-year orbit. Venus about 18 months. And this often happens. Venus is approaching Mars, and Mars then, just about as Venus is about to catch up, Venus goes retrograde. Anyhow, just imagine that little story playing out in your life. Is there anything else we need to say? Not really, but this is a very different new moon to the last new moon. There is much less tension than there was back then, shall I say. And with Mercury in its own sign, excellent, right up until the 27th of June. All right, it's not retrograde, it's going in its own sign. And also, it will be joining the Sun on July the 1st. It will then be in Cancer, be at 9 degrees of Cancer. So play. One of the things I took away from the wonderful recording of these sea creatures, all types of sea creatures, was how they play. And also bears, apparently, young bears, sort of, fight with each other, and they are playing, and it relieves stress. And so when they grow up as an adult, they're on their own. But the more they play, and it's kind of biting type play, if you've ever seen cats do that, I have, it's actually getting them in training for surviving on their own as adults. So playfulness is a very, very powerful quality that I'm seeing at this new moon. The Gemini energy, the Leo energy, great. So thanks for watching. Pam Carruthers of healingstars.com.